When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better, better. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong. I could feel it in my bones. There was something going on, that shade of doubt hanging around that old. 'Cause darling, there is nothing right when all you seem to do is lie. Those days are gone. I'm walking tall while you're alone. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better, better. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong. Your love was cold, heart made of stone, but I'm just fine. I'm gonna shine. I'm alright, alright, alright. I'm celebrating my liberation. I'm moving strong, I'm moving on. I'm alright, alright, alright. Might be shaken but not stirred. Just a lesson that I've learned. And so it goes. Tables turn and you're on your own. When I think about the way, when I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better, better. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things you took from me, I know that I am so much better, better off. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong. looking for no, no, no. Cause I got you. I got you. Don't wanna show us off, but you're my all that I need. I'm telling you why. This ain't no madness. The smoke in the mirrors are memories. Now the sun has come down like a river rushing way up above. This ain't no sugar-coated love. I stay in bed, I still got the feeling that you're next to me, stuck in my head. When lights go off, you're everything that I could ever want. Your touch so soft, not looking for no, no, no. Never go, cause I got you, I got you. Don't wanna show us up, but you're my own. I'm telling you why. This ain't no madness. The smoke in the mirrors are memories. Now the sun has come down like a river rushing way up above. This ain't no sugar-coated love.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Paladins Global Series. To start off the day, we've got Europe and then Brazil following shortly after. Of course, my name is Evan Rayner Rainday, and this is Nick Keogh. Pretty Hair will be your casters for this first region. And take a look at Europe, which is very contested, Nick. It's been one of those where even the bottom team has taken a game from the top team, and now we'll have to see if that can continue here in upsets as we head in today.
And, I mean, as a close region, this one's going to be fun to watch pretty much any week. And last week was supposed to be the big upset week, and we know we did get that big upset.
We did.
Over here in Europe, so I'm excited to see kind of the matchups today and what these teams are going to be bringing.
Well, as we head into, of course, today, we want to remind you of what's in the future, and actually just 2 months away from today will be the capstone day finale of HRX. That's the 18th of November. HighResExpo.com is where you can get your tickets. And remember, if you haven't gotten your ticket, do it now. It makes sense. Just grab it. You don't have to remember it later on. You're going to be like, oh man, they're sold out, and I wanted to be there. Of course, the after party as well. You can snag those now for $50. And boy, oh boy, that's a fun time.
Highly recommend that one. It's the perfect way to end your weekend. Everyone's there. You can meet players. You can meet us. You can meet other fans, other like-minded individuals. And it's a lot of fun to kind of get those pictures in. You know, everyone's a little bit more relaxed. I think when you're at the event, everyone's kind of focused in. If you're looking for a picture or something with a player, they might not open up as much to you as they would at the after party.
Well, let's head into the standings for Europe today. Get this PGS started. It's the Global Series, and of course, we travel around the world. So today we will be taking a look at Europe, traveling across the ocean, then to Brazil. And Authority, Blazing Hussars, they are tied for first. But remember, Blazing Hussars took that loss to Underrated, who have found themselves with a win. So their time for redemption is set 1. But set 2, Underrated, looking to go at another top dog against Clown Fiesta to see if they could prove that maybe the first few weeks, the first few losses was actually a fluke, and that now they're ready to play.
So I guess you would imagine they could beat this team.
You would imagine.
At this point, I feel like you could basically beat everyone, and that's really, really good. That's really healthy. Not a lot of regions have that, I think, in the PGS most days. And the ones that do are normally NA and EU, and those guys get called up. And so that does kind of, I think, put a good amount of churn into these regions where new guys are constantly coming up.
Well, let's head to the maps here as we get started for this set. Those will be coming up on your screen and getting us moving through the day. Stone Keep is map number 1, and as we head into the champion draft here, it's Blazing Hussars with the first ban, first pick potential. A little Trojan horse, I guess, logo there, and still trying to figure what Authority is. You know, it's Barrick's uncle with either shoulder pads or some machine guns. I can't quite tell.
Those are definitely machine guns.
Definitely machine guns.
A little MP5 action.
Got a lot of grips.
That's a bird.
Looks like a lot of grips on that thing.
Barrick's uncle. That's like some kind of eagle.
I don't know. I don't see that. I see a guy in a helmet, though. I see a beak, but I also see. Oh, you're right. There it is. There it is. That is a bird. That's Barrick's
like
bird.
A thick ass.
No,
like
this
beard.
is every logo
beard that goes up to his eyebrows.
Yeah, every logo that happens with I think Joe, and I'm assuming this is a Joe Bro.
Like Rorschach.
It's a Rorschach ink blot test. Every single time you can see 2 different things, and then you're like, you're either failing or you're a psycho or you're passing, and you're a healthy individual. Mokoa and Androxus and Cassie taken for Blazing Hussars, so relatively lethal lineup to start. And look, Barrick right next to his bird.
Yeah.
Go 6! Go 6! You know, they should have a Barrick, Leon skin and a Barrick Cassie skin as well. I think that would sell.
Oh man.
Design, think about it.
I don't know, man. Make all those OB64 spray skins.
Make them. Actually make them. That would be quite hilarious.
It wasn't enough to put the spray in the game. We got to go full commit.
And Nara's just like a chibi-like version of herself, but like a block, you know, like that they're doing in Smite. It's unfortunate because, in FPS, that might be a little bit of an advantage if she gets much, much smaller and reduces her hitbox.
But a bigger hitbox?
But a bigger hitbox. There it is.
Trade-off. Well, the first 3 tank I've seen in a long, long time.
Outside of Europe, I suppose, because Fnatic seem to always run it. And
3 tank.
Oh, 3 tank. Yeah, I guess you're right.
That wild. Slow it down, cameraman. Slow it down. Slow it down, cameraman. All right. I know we're excited here for the EU PGS. But first blood, it comes very quickly. Uber Spady able to hit Stocks and take him down, and 27% already for the triple frontline lineup for Authority.
Nick, where's the triple front line? Barrick and Inara.
It must have been a mistake on picks and bans.
Wow, you failed the caster. No, I'm just kidding. But I was
I passed.
There you
I
passed.
picked it up. I was debated.
You picked it up. You didn't put it down. 72% here for Authority. And I mean, Zen, he comes pretty close to a tank for a flank, but not when headshots hit like that from Graphies. Fine stocks there. This is a big one. Blazing Asars looking to get back on the objective. They tag the overtime, but Graphies is so low. Dampus now rotating, forcing the issue with the Inara. And it's just too much health, too much sustain in that time. 2-2 can't get back. Dread Serpent just a day late.
That was damn close. I mean, a pretty good box there onto Inara, but she's just too healthy. The damage reduction too high. Even hitting a couple of headshots in there wasn't enough. Stock's already on the zoning duty here, 2 minutes 14. And you gotta say, that was a really good effort. I mean, the Barrick Inara pairing, she helped him just get set up there. And then honestly, it was mostly Barrick on the objective. I don't really remember seeing Inara too often on there, just kind of floating through to go put pressure out a little bit more forward.
And when you don't have the blast pressure, I think that's what helps. I mean, when Drogos is there or Willow is there, the Barrick can't really stay, but when he's just blocking the hit scan or the projectiles from range, it's a little easier for him to, I think, stay tanky and hold down a point. And it gives Inara the freedom to roam, and she's one of the best in the business when she gets in your face and she decides she wants to run at you, of doing exactly that. Danfist on a 3 streak. And the rest of Authority claiming control early on in this set.
Every ultimate available for them as well, but even still, they like to just kind of back off here. They're giving up a lot of high ground control to McCall right now. That's a big point of contention here. You can see Barrick trying to cannon rush his way down, trying to get supplanted there. But I mean, I gotta say, Graphies is really, really on point, just destroying the turrets.
Yeah.
You get rid of that little bit of healing, that little bit of damage there. It's easy to let it slide, but I think it's a good thing to try and keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's valuable ammunition. It's valuable time. Interesting for J-Bay, the Leaky Boy actually gets taken down by Loomsy, and he's just trying to stay alive. He could have attributed some damage, but it doesn't matter because, of course, at the end of the day, the Ancient Rage for 2-2 does prove valuable. The hook misses. Ace Dex in the back line with the Ying. It's been a popular choice for European players and Paladins ever since Life Exchange was reintroduced. Still 40 seconds.
A lot of healing, very competitive talent. In terms of just raw throughput, Ying never really brought much else to the table here, and now that her healing is back to a competitive spot, she's getting picked up. Seismic Crash, I think a good spread there from 2-2. He wants to break line of sight around this bush if at all possible. So if anyone wants to commit on him, they're actually going to have to commit. They're going to have to come out from that little hidey hole and get in the fight. 2 for 1 though, despite the ultimates used on the offense here. 12 seconds. And Authority just definitely struggling to break this pace.
Yeah, and I mean, this is, I think, a great use of the pick with Aatroxus. So Graphies is taking advantage fully of the ability to get to the high ground, get to the low ground, and attack those low targets, because as far as a sustained battle, there's no way that Blazing Asars end up winning this over the Life Exchange Ying, the Inara, and the Barrick, especially with the Death and Taxes Leon. But, you know, Graphies is applying enough pressure to where Authority are getting caught, looking back, looking left, looking right, and by that time, they've got all their lunch money stolen.
Yeah, he never really feels like he doesn't know what he wants to do next there. Very, very kind of purposeful movements throughout that fight. Taken down there, but at the end of the day, this Ancient Rage didn't accomplish much. All it did was smack Barrick the entirety of the time, but even with that, they still weren't able to get things going. Toot Toot picks up a good couple of kills there. 7-2 in the first round. He was doing a good job landing every hook and sort of keeping people on their toes. And even then, Graphies was sort of putting pressure on the hook targets while at the same time looking for his own meals around in the back line and putting that pressure on the Ying. You could see there, like I said earlier, always has a purpose.
This is feeling more like an old school Aatroxus, but through the Warp and Elusive, 2 cards that have been introduced over the few patches that are in more recent memory of this year. Power of the Abyss, Seething Hatred, definitely more of the traditional Aatroxus loadouts. And, you know, it's changed because we've seen some reintroductions of cards that we haven't seen before. We've seen some people go for the Abyssal Touch. I think that's more of a North American style. They tend to take more risks, deviate from the norm, and it doesn't necessarily work out. I mean, Europe tried and true, and they kind of stick to that methodology. But it does end up, I think, sometimes giving you those highlight moments. Graphies has yet to truly be spectacular on the point fight, but his defense and his flexibility to roam has been vital for Blazing Asars to tie this up.
So Keep Control actually goes to Blazing Asars this time, and the Dome Shield will come out on the high ground, and then Barrick instantly drops down. Interesting choice there. for young Bear. Grafis deleted in the air. Leon is having no problems keeping him tracked, of course. A couple of her abilities are going to just auto-hit. Loomsy taken down by Toot Toot. Ancient Rage is ready as well if he needs it, just to keep this pressure up, and this is such a different round from Blazing Hussars.
Yeah, Kamikaze here on the objective. We often kind of discuss what happens when there are ultimates involved. And I only think that Inara kind of hurts herself and her team there. She's going to go down. Danfus has lost the healer. There's no way out, and she just delays the grouping of her team. Luckily, Stocks is able to make it out alive as a result and apply the pressure, take left keep. So it's still 51%, and Authority have to try a retake.
Counter goes up there. I don't know how that actually connected there. Stocks back into the billow. He's been on the run the whole time. I mean, he has not been putting pressure anywhere, and now Kamikaze heads to the back line with an ultimate of his own. Ancient Rage versus Assert Dominance. Both of them buying space all over the field.
And you could tell it was a decent ultimate to distract and force them off. And it's undervalued as far as some of those ults that Ash can do to just create space. It doesn't get a kill. It doesn't even get damage. Everyone runs away, and you look, oh man, nothing happened, but it set up Uber Spady to find 2 or 3 in this fight because they all got pushed in. It was wolves kind of cornering the sheep, so to speak. And now Blazing Hussars is off to the races.
You know, despite all that, Blazing Hussars just now passing Authority on the capture point, and it feels like they were in control for so much longer than they really needed to be there. I wonder if they were missing some capture time there, or if they were just making absolutely sure, you know, whether that costed them having to move someone off the objective, that they would be able to maintain control, because they really kind of do have the inferior point front line setup. You can see Ash and Makoa are doing a great job at, you know, sort of diving people, bullying stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just getting to the objective and out-muscling, I mean, Inara Barrack is some of the best at doing that.
And remember, Blazing Hussars took that L last week. It gets underrated. They do not want to lose here. There's so much for them to gain. And there's really a lot at stake as well, especially losing to Authority, who would be the 3rd place team, or the 4th place team now. And so Toot Toot has something to prove. Kamikaze finds that kill on the Ash, and this is starting to warm up, Nick. This is what he picked it for, this pressure, this engagement, this kind of siege potential. She's got full health too.
This angle right here is really, really good one to play. As long as these front lines, the Makoa and the Ash, can continue to apply pressure to the back line, it's going to make it really easy for the rest of the guys to get in position to actually do some hyper carrying, to find some of those frags, to make some of the true space where this payload can finally come through.
And I mean, absolutely using the cooldown there of this shield just to stay safe, to make sure Loomsy can't find the right damage. They're working as a team here. I mean, Toot Toot has been phenomenal. He's this Makoa that's just been aggressing into the back line and just finding hooks, finding pressure, and it just is too much. I don't think Authority have the ability to kind of like readjust and deal with this onslaught. This is looking much more like a collapse and much more like a Blazing Hussars finding full control now that Uber Spady's on a 10 streak. Looking to make an 11 here with Socks.
As soon as you start to see the offense creep up the stairs,
bye-bye,
creep down the catwalk, you know it's pretty much over at that point. There's just no way to kind of wrestle back your own high ground. Once your front lines are already down and there's a, you know, committed to contesting the objective, and the enemy offense, all their carries or maybe even a bruiser is up in the back line starting to put pressure there, because the front lines are just sitting ducks at that point.
Uber Spady was such a huge part of this, Nick. And you know what? Megaton came in, actually got him an extra kill. Ace Dex goes off the map thanks to that disengage. And, you know, sometimes the blast shot just applies that little delay. And I was thinking of the disengage card. So this is the blast shot. But still, a lot of European players have run this at level 1, level 2, just to guarantee that extra shot. So far, it's worked. And I think they need to slow this Cassie down if they're going to have a chance at coming back here, Authority.
Neck and neck on the healing charts, damage led by Cassie a little bit. Maybe it goes into that, and that small little knockback. That's one of those, that's that thing that I was kind of talking about yesterday. It's like no matter how highly of you think of yourself, that little card can just make that next shot a little bit easier.
Like Eerie Presence,
absolutely,
right?
100% confirmable every single time. And I think that's something that's probably invaluable for his rotation.
Unfortunate reload there from Grafty, yes, but Loomsy does not come out on top. 10 streak for him. It seems like everybody's started to get this rolling. Toot Toot has 2 very low health targets. Grafty is going to make sure they don't have low health. They have no health when he's done with them, and it could be a triple kill here. Danfus goes down thanks to Veliki Boy's damage. And boy, oh boy, Blazing Hussars look like they could win this game here.
Way out in front. 71% on the Dread Serpent. Big and Cursed Arm and Assert Dominance. Kamikaze might be going for that just right now. He will dunk it down. Everyone is just going to try and ignore him, but they're going to take a lot of poke damage for it. And I think, how can you really ignore that at that point?
And I love it. I mean, he's created this kind of like you have to enter through this tunnel, this bridge. You may not want to deal with the bridge troll. You may not want to fight him, but there's nowhere to go except around him. So you have to acknowledge him in some way or be forced off. And that was Blazing Stars taking game 1. A vital win for them. They need to take this set, and I think they need to take it convincingly. Losing to Underrated can't be good for their egos. It can't be good for their confidence. And I think now heading into maps in game 2, you're going to start to see maybe a little bit more of a decisive victory, especially if Blazing Stars are allowed to get a good draft like they were.
I wonder if that was their map or not, because I mean there was a good start there for Authority. Like you see the 1 point on the board, you see that one payload capture. That was not a defense held or anything. That was Hussar's map as well. So with that like little foothold established, I think Authority, if they get a good draft here on their map, maybe they can actually take a game.
It's also the utility of the Ashe. I mean, an EV ban here is a lot of respect. We see it in Europe, we see it in Brazil, we've seen it in several regions stay a mainstay champion, but here I do look at this as more of a let's leave something open. Maybe the Androxus, I think you could see there the Talus being banned as well as a mutual let's leave a con open, let's leave something else open that we value. The Inara banned, unfortunately, so it will most likely shift to a damage priority as Strogos and Willow are now available. But with the Furia first, it seems like the Makoa is going to be prioritized as well as the healer.
Furia banned out in game number 1. The healing charts were definitely a topic of conversation. Ying common here, but not in the rest of the world, and they were able to stay neck and neck on the healing charts. We'll see if that manages to be the same case here. Once Furia comes into the picture, and looking like it's damn near a run back here for Blazing Stars.
Yeah, and I mean, man, get the Makoa. You've got the Furia here instead of the Damba. I'm feeling real good about this on Bright Marsh with Solar Blessing and Kindle Soul. Uber Spady feels comfortable. Graphies feels comfortable. They still have the Death and Taxes Leon, though, Nick. Is that going to be enough to shut it down?
In practice, most of the time it's good for shutting stuff down, but I don't think that any of these front lines, especially when you look at getting behind a shield as well versus Inara, who just kind of has to take Cauterize on the chin the whole time, these front lines are looking to be in your face. They're probably chasing you around. They're not just sort of standing idly by on the objective. So we'll have to see if Leon is able to apply the pressure as neatly as you would think.
Very small map, but there could be some very big moments here on Bright Marsh, especially if we see Europe's Blazing Stars want to have a fight for first place again after taking a loss last week. This is the perfect way to get back on track, and Authority trying to startle the world by being the 4th place team now and the 2nd last place team in a row to defeat one of the top dogs.
Drogas is going to have to carry a lot of weight this game. I don't think there's really any ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was banned out in game number 1. He's always been a guy that can't control things on Bright Marsh, but with the mobility and I think of this composition in general, the Fire Spit, you got to ask, for the same kind of reasons as Leon's Death and Taxes, can she find a way, or he find a way to be effective?
And look at this, already into the back line, but takes a lot of damage in that, and you know what? The Shell Shield is something he would have loved to pop out. In that moment, you could see the Leon Loomsy definitely trailing this con, and this was what we saw earlier. Blazing Stars got pushed out in the first point fight, but a beautiful hook might just put Khan in trouble. Kamiker trying to make sure he doesn't get out. Can they find anything off of this? The Commander's Grab just going to get him out, and another firing line battle shout will put him into safety.
Wow, he's running a lot of movement speed, it looks like, on his shout as well.
Yeah, into the breach.
Either that or Swift Spirits. I mean, he was zooming after that
It
shot.
might be the Swift Spirits. It
And
seems
again,
like.
running it back here, Authority will grab the first objective with very little to no contest from Blazing Stars. But as a team that's a bit more experienced, they are able to make those adjustments. I think they are able to say, okay, what went wrong there? We're going to use this entire defense 2 minutes and 30 seconds to just kind of talk about it and how we want to approach it differently. And the game is going to be differently in the next round. It's the first round versus the second round when everyone's most likely got their ultimates up and available. I mean, the fight just becomes a completely different beast.
And it wasn't the longest of fights. I think maybe that would have gone in the favor of Blazing Stars once you get the Inflame online. But again, a quiet round 1 for Uber Spady. Relatively quiet round 1 for Graphies, but it's starting to build and starting to move now that he's found a little momentum and they have the zone. And it's just strange. I think maybe Authority, they attack this, and Blazing Stars settle into it. And it just could be 2 different thought schools of how to play Paladins, and so far it's worked in the long run for Blazing Stars, but how long can you afford to maybe make these mistakes that give Authority a little bit of confidence?
Fire Spit hits the beautiful read on Toot. That's a great kill there. And now the rest of Blazing Stars looking a little bit spread out, looking a little bit splintered here, just trying to get out, but multiple people below about 10%. This Fire Spit, if it connects, could be really good. How did that not hit Furia?
I know. I'm surprised, but I like that they're getting these kills in a delayed fashion. It's just allowing it to be a little bit more effective, and they're having to maintain this 5-man advantage over now 3 members who are down on Blazing Stars. And now look, it's another one who's taking its place. So there are constant 2 players down, 2 to 3 members down at every moment.
It's not a good look for them. And now they've got 6 seconds before this Makoa comes up. Luckily, the payload really was kind of far away at this point. It wasn't exactly striking distance. Everyone's up now. Everyone is available.
Oh, Kammerker
just dives off the stage. Stage dive into the crowd, but they didn't catch him.
And they force an Inflame here. I mean, what an incredible ultimate to force right at the end of the round. It just looks like things aren't going well. I might take my Inflame and my Ancient Rage home and say, listen, you got us. You had momentum. We understand. Blazing Stars not content with that. They will at least Ancient Rage and try to stall out this push. And by taking down Damphis, you would assume that they would have gotten close to saying, we've done it.
And I wonder if the Dragon Punch wouldn't have been worth just committing there. I mean, right? The second you see the Ancient Rage out, no one is alive to contest you from range. He would have been able to wind that one up safely and just dunk it home. They do maintain it, and maybe because they already used the overpower, they wanted to, you know, hold on to one of their Instagib ultimates next round.
Right.
We talked about how different that second round point fight could be when everyone does have their ultimates available. And Fire Spit just blowing up a little bit too early to clip Furia, but Barrick, he was there to do the job.
Feel safe, bowling ball, red streak, healing station, forged ally combat, repair, whatever you feel like in that 1-point slot. This is what Barrick has been using for the last few months. And I don't know if it's just a standard value of Barrick. It's definitely gone up, but I think it's very execution based on why it has gone up and how you have to play this to make it work.
2, 1.
A lot of onus on the player for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of extra health. It's 6,000 shield HP, and then you factor in, though he is the lowest base HP frontline in the game, he does have the self-sustaining turrets. He does has the big bowling ball shields as well. If you're able to be effective with those, assert dominance straight to the backline. So much space spot. J-Bay just trying to get out of there, but he simply can't. Kammerker with a beautiful positioning on the ult.
And it feels like the second that Blazing Stars get aggressive, it all works out for him. You know, the second that these ultimates come through, maybe it's just a team that says, we want to play this patiently, guys. We maybe took it a little too quickly, thought underrated were underrated or overrated, so to speak. And so we felt comfortable taking risks and playing with our feelings, playing with our emotions. Hey, let's just go in and dive. Let's see what works. And it seems like much more tactical this week. And it has worked out overall.
They do get the dome shield through, though. The Dragon Punch will connect, but this is the first couple of capture points. Now the counter in Flame is popped. Look at Grafis. He's headed to the back line. He's floating up on the high ground as well. The shield's going to go down. Beautiful angle here, hitting a couple of headshots right over the top of Khan's shield, using his vertical mobility to his advantage, playing the map wonderfully.
And this is now the support that should fall. Ace Stacks is low. Hard to kill a Moldamba in most situations, but that's pretty easy there. Stocks now firing a rocket in vain. It will be Blazing Stars who take this one. Graffius lets the kill go just to stay alive. Oh, somebody almost fed it, and Kammerker ends up cleaning it up.
Pretty dialed in there. Some good moves there from Grafis. He's got 12 in the pocket at the moment. A lot of streaks starting to actually creep up to the double digits there. Kammerker and Uberspady north of 10 as well.
2 minutes and 10 now on the clock for Blazing Stars. Ancient Rage. Scout available for the Cassie. Graffius doesn't quite yet have the accursed arm. It's been a really, really big talking point for Blazing Stars. And another headshot. Limsey's going to take him down. And this definitely taxes Leon. The longer she stays on the battlefield, the more the tide starts to shift in your team's favor. That healing just doesn't come close to doing the same as it would without her. Nice.
Pretty good damage there. Sliding through, hits the beautiful presence. On the way, and such a fast fire rate, honestly. It's like a pretty, it's a low number that comes out. It's 400 or less most of the time. But I mean, a really, really quick refire rate. And when you're able to weave your abilities in between shots as well, you know, that damage adds up pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it's very bursty, and it's lethal.
Oh,
Inflame here.
Oh no!
Nice fire strike midair, Maliki boy. Tell Stocks what up. Beautiful stun. I don't know whether it was intentional or just a happy accident.
Man, I'm in the happy accident court there, but that makes it all the better in my opinion.
I agree.
That's one of those you throw out, and if you get something, you get something. If you don't, you don't. It's that Maldamba reload from across the map that manages to hit someone.
You throw it in a line of sight where you know people are walking, or a tunnel where people exit, and it's about the time someone may be coming to contest. You just hope for the best, and hey, it's a highlight play. Uber Spady here with 3. And it seems like when Graffies and Uber Spady get going, things start to work. Kamiker and Tutu having a fantastic role in just applying pressure, keeping this back line at bay. And when things like Valicki Boy's Pyre Strike is stunning and killing Drogoz midair, I mean, it seems like let the good times roll.
Yeah. Once those frontliners get deep on the objective and it has to be contested, it makes, you know, the backline's job so much easier. They just get to shoot pretty much for free. People that aren't even looking at them. This was the play that turned it all around, though. This was after the inflame. Graffies got to his spot, he found his targets, and he did a good job kind of having that element of surprise.
Top damage is the Leon. So Loomsy's still, you know, staying alive, being valuable to the team, but you got to say that Graffies has been the difference maker damage-wise, finding those last blows, contributed 22 eliminations this game. Uber Spady trailing behind him with 17. Record 3 caught up and ready to use to just distinguish this Concho.
At the end of the day, both teams do, you know, because they have a payload each, they're going to be pretty much equalized in terms of economy here. So Authority will have their level 3s as well. Graffies hits the jump, and he has the vision, but he sees the Dragon Punch winding up, and that's, you know, makes it a little bit awkward for him. Just a little bit of damage, a couple of mid-air cursed arm shots. Neither ultimate will actually get a kill.
But it's, I think Stocks does really well there to just take the W by staying alive. He has the Dragon Punch recharge. It's already at 50% again. And now Graffies still hunting for the kill. Really nice job to catch that back and force the overpower. Now, you know, this is a lot of respect, but how long is this taking, Nick? That's quite a while. 39% still counting for Blazing Asars. Tutu with the hook and the battle shout used just to avoid the commander's grab.
Maldamba's in there.
Gotta get Uber here. They got him.
There. Everyone was scrambling just to get that kill to make it happen. Here comes the Dread Serpent there. It's going to be good for another one on to Tutu. The Pyre Strike just to keep Kamiker alive, but Furia herself will have to back out of this fight. Comeback mechanic is going to make for a very small window for the Blazing Asars to get back on their feet.
What a kinetic burst, though, by Kamiker. That might have saved the game right there, because Valicki Boy was dead to rights. Khan barreling down with firing line damage amp.
Ancient Rage is up, too.
It's all just see you later. Don't stay near my support. Tutu here running with the Ancient Rage. He's looking. Oh! Grand slam!
Get out of my game!
Hits it out of the park and says, not today, Drogoz. Ancient Rage will continue to rage on. Makoa, captain of the seas. And he'll leave the flight to the Dragon somewhere else. Brightmarsh is his town. Blazing Asars, they take the 2-0 in beautiful fashion.
Get him out of my face.
Get him out.
Get him out of the game.
Get him out of here.
Oh, my God. That's like the second time ever that we've seen that.
And
once
now,
before, but, man.
What's so cool, too, is that
love it.
You see it once, and it feels accidental. You've never seen it before. You see it again, it seems awesome. You see it the third time, it's awesome. But the way that he approached it, he knew his Ancient Rage. He backed up. He knew the hitbox was there. He timed his swing. It's tech now. You have an awesome moment, but you do it enough, players use it, they understand it, and gets ingrained in memory, and it becomes something that's how you deal with it, right? And I love the way that he just stayed patient, didn't turn around, didn't panic. 2-2. Man, what an Ancient Rage to counter not one ult, but 2.
Get him out of my face.
Wow.
Oh, the noise, too. Woof.
That's amazing.
Woof, dude.
Great
and I mean,
stuff.
even landed that little shot to get him right in the HP threshold. You love to see it.
You'll love to see it. Well, that was our set number 1, and it went the way of Blazing Asars. So back on top for them. They've got 3 wins here, and I'm sure we'll take a look at the standings overall because we do have some more games coming up in Europe. That means we're finally going to see Underrated versus Clown Fiesta. And the thing is, with Underrated, you know, they took Blazing Asars down last week. They looked really, really good. I was a big fan of the Androxus in those sets. You know, Sassel was extremely effective for Underrated, and I just wonder if that's going to continue. If Clown Fiesta now are going to find themselves, you know, in a better spot here to be able to defend.
I mean, Clown Fiesta is a team that had a bit of a reputation, but like we kind of said, with NA and EU, you get a lot of those like call-ups to the PPL, so it's about getting back to their spot for them. When they lose a guy like Alex, it can be tough to sort of recover from that. because they don't exactly grow on trees, those star DPS players.
They certainly don't, and even when they, they get plucked, I mean, there's still some growing to be done, that's for sure. Mouse Sports haven't quite figured it all out, and, I don't know. If it stays this way, we might see something that we saw like in the CIS region where Virtus Pro have a bunch of PGS players, but XSplit, you see them all back there somehow or somewhere, still contributing, finding their spots. Well, let's take a look at the maps here as we head into this second set of today in Europe. Splitstone. Wow. Interesting map one. See?
Yeah, not often do you see this one come out of the gate. Bit of a fringe pick, especially in these best of threes where you don't see, too many maps overall straight up. I mean, you get those 2 O's. You see your Bright Marsh, you see your Stone Keep, you see your Jack Falls, maybe your Frog Isle. The bread and butters, so to speak. But I'd love to actually know whose map pick this was. We got to just incorporate that into that graphic.
I agree. Should just be somewhere on the left or the right.
That looks like a Pokemon.
Yeah, I usually what I assume is Underrated have something going on, and it is their map. So the Mako will be banned. I mean, Androxus here. It could be Kinessa. What's the confidence?
I mean, I imagine a lot of their strategies are like around having Kinessa when they used to have Alex. Maybe they're just trying to, if it wasn't broke, don't fix it. Pick up somebody else who knows how to play it.
Yeah.
Not a ton of. It's funny because like you don't always see his snipers on Splitstone.
Well, that didn't seem like that should happen. Con picked and banned, so something's up there.
You can't hold him back sometimes. CC immunity.
CC immunity.
Ban immunity.
He firing shouted
new talent.
The pick and ban.
New talent.
Okay,
man.
firing shot.
Ban immunity. Just as good, if not better, though.
Yo, imagine though. The new champion has ban immunity as a passive. Must be allowed in the PPL.
Man.
Cannot be banned. That'd be pretty OP.
Poor Cooper.
All right, Inara taken first as we were kind of guesstimating there. Torvald and Androxus here for Clown Fiesta. It's a dangerous pairing, that is for sure. But the Willow, we didn't see it at all last set, and it was available.
Yeah. So they get a lot of healing and the counter, 2 said. So it's really on Andrew at that point. But an Andrew with a Torvald bubble, 10 times out of 10 should be able to win that matchup against the Willow. He knows pretty much exactly where she's going to be sitting as well. I can't imagine she's going to have anyone that's allotted to babysit her either.
Yeah.
So Underrated, I wonder how they're going to deal with it.
It depends. I mean, I think Furia can do well on this map just from a theory standpoint of staying on top of the catwalks beyond the point and just, guarding, throwing a Solar Blessing. I mean, it's a really clear line of sight to the objective. It's hard to miss those.
10th pick, Drogo. Sheesh.
That'll be interesting here.
That is definitely something.
It's how well will the Cassie perform, I think. Definitely going to control the mid-game. A lot of these champions are up closer from afar and don't necessarily excel in that mid-range where Cassie does. So I think if she takes fights and gets aggressive, this could be a very strong draft for Underrated, but we'll see how well they perform. I just remember Underrated when they were able to get that Furia on last set that we saw last week. It was really, really comfortable. That was the one thing that I noticed. Just second on this Furia was extremely comfortable, and Hayes and Nino just did the rest.
Well, pretty standard talent choices here, except kind of for the slug shot Ashe. I mean, that's not exactly standard anymore. People go for the Fortress Breaker. I think it varies a little bit map to map.
Yeah.
Rejuve straight out of the gate for Miss Inara the Ninja. See if she looks to make any cheeky plays here. Not a ton you can do with the Inara
Summit 5 Inara. You never know.
That's pretty much the only way you could get any funny business going. Here comes Torvald Andro, and Ashe is going to do her best to deter that.
I don't know if they have vision. They know where every member is now. I think Hayes missed an opportunity. I like how he's playing defensive, and you know what? Underrated, this is their plan. If we hold and we put Inara on the point, eventually they got to look at her. That's typically what we see with the Stone Warden. She's just so tanky. You keep some pressure there, and all of a sudden opens things up for your front lines and your back lines at the same time.
Can only be so many Solar Blessings that go out, though. We saw one go to Willow. We saw Ashe fall extremely low, and then Zarni needed one as well on the objective. So managing this cooldown around the objective, that's definitely not where you want to stand against a Willow. Doing a good job keeping everyone topped up for the time being, and really this is on the support. I mean, there's a lot of damage going out right now. Still no first blood as we head towards 2 minutes.
Seems like it's about to happen. There it is. Sassala goes in. It's a double kill. Jopi as well. Zarini still on the objective. The Ashe fighting back. Underrated. Man, not underrated at all. This is a pretty dominant point fight, a pretty dominant lineup here. Clown Fiesta had some ideas on how they wanted to tackle it, but Hopes and Minchmeyer, you know, felt under pressure the entire time. Arrays could not get anywhere, even with Accentra bubbling him. That Willow and that Nightshade pressure was phenomenal.
You know, it's early, so we'll see, but I mean, Splitstone Core, it feels like it could be one of those maps for underrated, like how Frozen Guard was for VP, you know what I mean?
Oh,
they
I
just
like
look
it.
so much stronger there. The Fate Flight comes up over the wall. Dragon Punch
Really?
will be used to try and counter this out. Does he have the legs to get there? Just barely, man.
Man, that's such a good counter when you really think about it. I mean, Drogos lasts quite a while, and Willow just cannot run away.
Yeah. One shot, though, would have made the difference there. She did miss one.
She did. But, I mean, it definitely puts the onus on the Willow to perform in a high-pressure situation. Because it's usually not even the target you're going for. But everyone pulls back. They say, we got the Dragon Punch. Feel pretty decent about it. Nino Sasala on the Cassie has been pressuring out Hopes decently. He found the first blood. And it was Jopi right afterwards with the shoulder bash who found the second, 1:30 for underrated. To continue their push on Splitstone.
This is the corner to break, man. I mean, this is where people run into most of their troubles, especially when they get flanked by Barrack. But that flank does end up panning out. Erase finds the kill onto Nino. That could be what opens the floodgates here, but they have to get this Andro out alive, and it can be tough. With Ash kind of zipping in and zipping right back out, though. Erase holds it down. Pops the Accursed Arm as well, and not a lot of effectiveness out of the Torvald Andro, which is the big win condition for Clown Fiesta.
Yeah. Or it would appear in theory, right? I mean, I think the Androxus, whether the Torvald is there or not, or whether he needs to look at Torvald bubbling more of Hopes, or maybe bubbling more of this Barrack just to keep them alive to match the sustain of of underrated with the Inara and the Furia. Androxus needs to find kills, and right now we're suddenly seeing Arrays kind of pick it up. Beautiful Mending Spirits / Wind Dancer combination. Keep him nice and fast.
Wow. A lot of burst, man. I don't know. Not much you can do about that if you're Willow. He comes ripping around the corner. Has all his cooldowns available as well. Getting close to that next Accursed Arm as well. Getting plenty of ultimate charge. The only ultimate really used so far by Clown Fiesta on this defense. Such a naturally defensible position here, this corner. Fire Spit goes out, and it actually stuffs Willow back to the ground after she flooded. That's actually really funny.
Actually just blocked. But now they're pushing. And you know what? Clown Fiesta, they give it up. It's interesting. But they truly do just back off, feeling that this is their safest play. Solar Blessing tends to make the difference here, though, because it's full health resets. The Furia has to be dealt with. And so does the Inara. Either way, and you can't lose a raise here. Nino, what a big pickup, and flawless as well. So smooth.
That was really smart. Like, just the fact that he went back there to bail that Willow out. I don't know if it was called for, if he just kind of saw it coming.
No.
But it was beautiful, and the Dome Shield entirely wasted. Barrack just goes down here. Hyper Beam could be the one that shuts it down. Evan, they just get rolled over.
I mean, that's the Furia. That's the Furia and Inara combo in overtime. I mean, you really feel like you got it. But I don't like that they cede that ground so easily. You know, they get Hopes with a little bit of pressure. He finds that initial combustible onto Haze, and I think they get themselves in a bit of a pickle there by backing up.
I mean, they held it for so long. Interesting loadout here.
Loadout. It is.
You don't see Watchful often. The only guy that I actually remember running this card was actually Fuzzy Logic, I think, used to take it sometimes, but no longer.
I don't know if it's that great. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely played.
I think it can be with a Torvald. You know what I mean? When you feel like you're always going to be getting in there and actually getting eliminations, I think there's probably something there. But what cooldowns? I mean, at that point, do you really want at 40%? You know, you can get at that same point spend, you can get 80% off of your Nether Step landing, or you could even go for the 88 seconds off, which is technically 80% as well off of the Nether Steps just by landing a punch.
Yeah, it feels like an interesting way to go, but hey, listen, you get it back here when you get the kill, and that's exactly what he's hoping for. So not worried about spinning dashes here. He's got one more, and now he's got the Torvald bubble, and look at this. Oh, man, nice. 1362. But it does not end up killing the Cassie. Nino Sasala and crew just back off from underrated. Clown Fiesta with comeback mechanic and in control, trying to force the issue, but they almost lose the Barrack there.
Wow, they definitely don't want to lose him. A little bit of a duel going out right now. And beautiful dash there over the top of the Ash dash. And the fear to just keep Andro alive. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, that's just a poor engagement taken. Jopi gets so much attention, so much time out of the Torvald Andro, and still comes out on top.
Man, Nino, triple kill for the Cassie. And this is what we were talking about, just excelling at the mid-range. And every champion, when Cassie rolls up in that mid-range, everyone's just caught off guard. It's like there's no way you can deal with that burst and her consistency and the output of damage. And I think that's the problem here. Nino has been incredibly important for this team's synergy, for their success. He continues as he's on a 9 streak and underrated at 3-0 up.
And I mean, Nino wasn't even there, and you saw Andro go ahead and try and kill Willow and still lost.
Right.
If that matchup's not going their way, they don't have a prayer.
Yeah. Hayes is, I mean, you know, been so consistent too, and it's not to take anything away, but I really think the Cassie is what gave them the flexibility to win these fights, because so much of Splitstone is that like cubby fight, but it is who can aggress after you get a little poke, who can get into the right side of the cubby near the grinder, or the left side and maybe attack somebody who's there. I really feel that this is actually a great map for Cassie, because she also has the long range pressure. She's just so flexible, can pretty much do any job that is required of the moment.
A lot of damage coming out there from Hopes. He manages to pick up 2. At the end of the day, already breaking that corner is such a better look for underrated when it's all said and done. It took them 80% of the timer to break that corner last time. And now they're already coming down the home stretch. The payload is sort of right on the tipping point there. But that's not a bad spot to be, because that means your front line can contest from out of line of sight, send you into overtime if you need to. The end flame is popped, though, and Nino still continuing to find kills.
Man, Nino is an assassin today, isn't he? He's not letting anybody go. Savage goes that man. And now a double kill, looking for his next triple. He's got the burst, he's got the roll, he's got the heal. That should be it.
What a beast, honestly. Every single time he commits to the back line, it's for 2 or 3 lives without fail. That's what they needed. That's what they needed from a Raze in this Torvald Andro. But Nino did it by himself without needing an additional champion to make it happen. Dear God, Nino, he owned it.
Yeah, this Cassie was the pick of time on Splitstone Quarry, and definitely when you have somebody who's piloting it and not missing shots, it's amazing how much more Cassie raises on the tier list when you just hit every shot.
Yeah,
it's insane. I mean, especially with the impulse burst, which a lot of people are looking at. I mean, we've seen Just Breathes here in the PGS. We've seen different styles, Exaction come back as well in North America, and for no reason, you know, people have just the 100 damage buff, but nerf. But I mean, it's still the burst.
It still does what it does.
The burst. It has never not done what it's done since it's been a talent, no matter whether it's been taking 200 health damage, 100 damage away. So still a great spot, Cassie. And Serpent Beach here will be map number 2. Add an Inflame as well. I mean, it's just game over.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Different picks this time, though. Clown Fiesta will go first. And they will ban the Torvald despite scooping in. Wasn't exactly effective for them last game. I think just outshined a little bit. Not a ton of mistakes from Clown Fiesta. A lot of those situations were just played better by Underrated.
Yeah, I agree. I think Underrated are absolutely performing at like the top team in the PGS right now as far as certain moments. That was a clinical win on a hard map to push on. Clown Fiesta now, question marks all around. Are they going to take this loss here? They have to change the dynamic in this draft. First pick setting up for a potential. And ooh, they're going Joxus again. That confident. Or maybe that.
No, Underrated had it last time.
No. Clown Fiesta had it, and it was on a Raze.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Koa comes through here for Underrated. No Torvald this time. Serpent Beach is a really good map, though, for Andro.
It is.
I think there is that going for them, which is nice.
But, I mean,
maybe get the Furia away here. There's a big support left on the table here. Most of the good front lines are already taken or banned. Clown Fiesta, I wouldn't waste too much time like scooping a barrack or anything in this phase.
I would almost expect a barrack here as a European watcher. I mean, it doesn't even you could think of a lot of tactically reasons why that wouldn't make sense, or you should go for something else, but
why do you need it then?
Because they love barrack. And again, I think barrack super struggles, but I think, you know,
it's not getting taken.
It's not. You know, I mean, there's no doubt, but I think this is maybe one of the issues, right? When you look at those little min-maxing moments, what do you get instead? Maybe they didn't have a good answer. Maybe they just wanted more information, and that could be it. They want to flex on their last 2 picks, and I don't, like, hate that school of thought.
Yeah, no.
I think it can't work. The thing I don't like is I think the matchup with Inara Makoa against the barrack is so rough, man.
do get their Drogos, Leon is banned out this time ago.
Okay, that's not bad.
Kind of 3 DPS.
Yeah,
in a way.
I think that's how you have to do it. I mean, you don't have sustain. There's no way. You have to try to match it with something else. And it's like stats in an RPG. Okay, I have a lot of intellect, but I don't have any, stamina, right? So you got to try to get an intellect victory. You can't try to just outrun somebody and make that happen. You got to fight with magic. You can't fight by physical endurance. And so I think that's one of the things we see in Paladins. You have to kind of yin-yang, min-max, and that is where Clown Fiesta, I think, make a pretty decent choice in their draft to round it out with the Ruckus. And the Victor here.
So they didn't get it done with the Torvald. Maybe sending this Ruckus back as the fat flanker with Andro can help put a little bit of pressure on.
Yeah.
He just bullies you out, man. He's got more HP than you and still does 1,000 DPS. The math problem that you just can't solve. It's a lot of damage coming out of the backline, though, and most good victors will know when it's time to go toe-to-toe versus when it's time to turn tail and run, and that could be the difference between not only life or death, but win or loss in a lot of these fights.
On the Victor, it's a little bit less of that mid-range. Doesn't excel there unless the fight's already tilting his way. It'll be up to Hayes maybe to take the risk, go into the middle of the fight, but he's felt confident. It's a life exchange Ying. Zarini, Jopi, ever present, ever stable. Great pairing of frontline and kind of flank flex. Frontline flank flex, so to speak.
Boy, say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, I would never try. Frontline flank flex.
There's not enough. I don't think of that innate anti-heal on the board to shut down this Inara Ying. I think that's really going to do a lot to just abuse them, especially in the early game. Getting these flanks to this Victor in the back line. And sometimes, like, there's no one that's necessarily a good matchup to dive on, right? But when you have just Ying clumped up with Willow, clumped up with Victor, it can be difficult just to get in there.
And a Pyre Strike stun. Had to be the only reason that Nino could have fallen there. But look at how many are low. And look at that. Erase cleans it up. And this is what I like about Hopes and this Drogos here. I mean, where's second going to go? He's already knocked off. If he dimensional links, he's basically dimensional linking where his clones are. So not really a lot of surprise there. But I think maybe Hopes makes a mistake.
Wow.
Goes for the front line. Continue onto the back line. Get the healers down. Let Accentra come back onto the objective and stay there.
He had his Dragon Punch charged up, too. Like, he's just pouring damage out onto the field right now. If he could have just got back to safety and launched that, I mean, he would have killed the front line anyway,
but
right?
But they're under pressure, and I think that's what makes people make those split decisions. That's like, oh, looking back in the tape, yeah, that's what I should have done, but it's 99. I see 2 people on the front line. I'm trying to get them off, and I didn't know you were going to be back in time. Underrated have always gotten the pressure in this matchup, at least for the last little while, with the Inara on the objective. The Barrack and the Ruckus, they're trying to do the damage, but it's a little bit harder to execute when the other front line's just standing there.
Good burst damage coming out on Andro. He just can't find a way in today, and that's game 1 and game 2. Couldn't do it with Torvald. Right now struggling to do it himself either. Ruckus, no one really for that matter, able to make it to the back line. Nino finds Accentra. Fighting this comp from range is not going to be a good look for Clown Fiesta.
Yeah, that was a good dimensional link as well. And look at that. Nino Sassala, the second he's looking at Ying, shows up. Hayes finds the kill onto a raise. So Hayes is a raise. And gets a raise on Underrated.
There you have it. There you have it.
There
He's
it is,
winning that
folks.
matchup all day, too, which is not something that should be going your way or giving you a lot of confidence in your Andro play, I think.
Nice. Finally, a really good barrage. And Androdoxus does his best. He steps back. He catches some of that. And he actually helps to find Zarini, but is it enough? I mean, Jopi here on the Mako, he's got the Ancient Rage. Just a matter of if he wants to or not. Triple kill. He's going for the highlight play. Is it going to be a Makoa Quadra?
No.
It might not. That flame turret is very, very damaging. And Barrack is pretty tanky underneath that thing. But what a hook as well, he says. You may have gotten away that time, but not again, my friend, not again.
I mean, what a risk there. Popping a Dome Shield over the top of an Ancient Rage is typically terrible choice of counterplay there. He cleaves through the turret and can still hit you. It was only as a result of a nice little shield dance there that Barrack stayed alive.
And I would assume, right, that if your turrets give you healing station, I mean, what does your Dome turret give you healing station? Like, I've never asked that question in my life. Your flame turret, but I would believe that the turret inside of your Dome Shield would also allow you to heal a little bit.
I don't know, because I think the loadout card's probably attached to like the specific device that is the deployable turret because it's like a different damage source, right?
But it would still
flame
take
turret. It'll say like just regular turret.
So the question is, does his turret inside that dome shield take bulldozer damage? Because I think if it does, then it would apply. It would feel like it would be the same property. I don't know. Anyone knows?
Well, they're both deployables, right? But they're a different deployable, I guess, at the end of the day. And the healing comes from like this specific deployable.
So you're the barrack master now. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm just trying to, talk it out the way I think it would work.
I'm under the impression of
Probably
I
have
never
to ask
know.
like a programmer.
Yeah, I seriously. But I'm trying to figure out how he was so tanky underneath that thing. And I've noticed that barracks don't die very easily underneath their dome shield, even when you think they should. And so that's what made me ask the question in the first place. Maybe there's an answer.
Wow.
Maybe we don't know. Overtime taken away, and it's Cloud Fiesta defending. And underrated with a good push, but can't get it done. Use some good ultimates in the process of trying to do so as well.
Zentra manages to live with 200 HP. We can put the microscope on Barrack's health bar here.
Does he gain health?
Get owned, idiot.
Get owned. Wow.
Does he? What level of healing station is he running as well?
Yeah, if we could take a look at Barrack's loadout, that might actually give us, okay, 3.
It's going to be hard to read on a health bar, I think.
I mean, you get your bowling bar, and then you bowling bar. Oh man, that's where Barrack hangs out, at a bowling bar.
Bowling bar.
Where does Barrack go for drinks after work?
That's a good business idea. The bowling. Well, I
Bad
guess
Barrack
there are
jokes.
most places there are bowling alleys. There are also bars, I suppose.
Yeah.
But not the bowling bar.
And Emperor of Kato here, just trying to hold on this Barrack. Hayes with a dead zone. This is not what you want to see. Ruckus and him. Once Barrack shielding is out, don't really have much else to hide under, so they've got to go on the offensive, and so far they have. Pop the Inflame. This is something Clown Fiesta didn't have last round, and it has forced underrated off the objective by killing Zarini from the Inara.
Second's just going to try and waddle his way around the corner. Nino finds 2 from what angle? Like, what are you working with there? I don't understand how he gets that done, but he does. Grenade goes to the back line. 39% for underrated, but they are storming back in to make that lead an even bigger issue for Clown Fiesta.
And it's really like it's got to be so simple, because I mean, he's just doing the same thing on this point fight. Shoots a raise once he pokes his head. He barrages the rest of the team that stands up there. Throws a grenade. It's a wonderful life. Couldn't see if he healed or not because
turbo dunked there at the barrage. I mean, so many ways to play around this dome shield here. It's a rough life.
He just hoped.
It is a rough life for Emperor of Kato on the Barrack. Underrated, have everything they need and more. Still sitting on the seismic crash. Goes for the quick reset there. Wants to spend his credits as well. 2 more ultimates were coming up if underrated had any problems with the barrage and the Ancient Rage.
And also was starting to get on the streak. He might have been about 17, 18 at that point. So definitely a smart decision when you have the time. You can keep the pressure with 4. And so far, they haven't slowed down a bit. Hayes has been filling in more than enough. A raise on the backside with what seems to be an impossible task of killing not only Hayes, but Nino Sassola and Second. And I actually like to look at the KDAs here. I don't think Second has died more than a couple of times here in this whole game. Only once. Yeah, that's a rough one.
Flight kind of fails to accomplish its job there, but shooting from the bottom as well, and a beautiful shell shield there just to bail him out. Everyone comes to the rescue. Hayes still trying to take the high ground, though, and they're kind of giving it up to him based on where the payload is going. They feel like they need to reposition just to keep pressure on this Inara, who's still very, very healthy. 2 guys, in a corner right now. Willow might be able to just kind of tear this up.
Willow doesn't seem like the type to bully Androxus and Ruckus into a corner. You don't think of her as the school, steal your lunchtime kind of gal.
She's the sleeper bully.
But she's the sleeper bully. She's the one that nobody wants to report because she's that dang mean that
and it's like an 8-year-old girl, right?
Yeah, it's like an 8-year-old girl.
You don't want to be that guy that's like, your Willow's bullying me again.
You mean you're getting bullied by an 8-year-old girl? Come on, son. Let me. And then the girl like bullies the father when she shows up. He's like, oh my God, run, little Jimmy, run!
This is terrible.
You didn't tell me she was a fairy. Get in the car. Get in the robot car.
The robot car.
Get in your shell. We're going home.
Oh man. 9-2, 19-3 though. The big story for Nino today. He's been pretty incredible.
He's been awesome, man. Even last week as well.
New Alex? Pog?
I mean, Nino's been one of the guys who's been, I think, more of the veteran players in all
he's been around for a while.
Europe, right? And not even, I mean, you can throw Nino in the conversation of being around, you know, some of these old guys.
Yeah.
Spunkies and Jaras and things like that. Nino's been playing. He's not had his top-tier moment. You know, is this the beginning of something new?
Well, better late than never, I always say.
Hey, sometimes better late. Like, truly.
Truly better late.
Yeah.
Than early?
Better late than early sometimes. Absolutely, man. Because you get the
Bloom
ground
when you're
work.
ready, Nino.
Exactly.
Oh, no. Ruckus dashed out of the Solar Blessing.
Tactical.
Nino didn't have to, or wasn't able to finish up on that kill. Anyway, 75% on the objective here. I don't know, man. Not only the draft.
It's the barrack.
But the play. It's the barrack?
I'm just really
Never
not,
sweeter words spoken.
It's the barrack. Well, you know what? To be honest, listen, man. It's really rough when you got a team like Fnatic who play the hardest to execute style composition of a triple DPS, and they make it look so good, and they stick to it, and it works sometimes. I mean, the fact that Barrack worked in the Game 7 of the Grand Finals against Na'Vi here, or the Spring Finals, was the worst thing that could have happened for Europe, I think, because Barrack became this kind of staple as like, oh, this works. But it was a knife's edge, man. If Visheko, if Bugsy, if Bittner don't do what they do, this Barrack is exposed.
There's nothing Theo can really do
There's
at
nothing.
that point.
Theo is like, literally, I'm going to take a 2 and 18 slash line just to buy time for you guys. And that's what happens when you're buying time for the greatest in the game or some of the best damage dealers in the game. It's a little different than when you're really trying to just match up player for player against an Inara on the front line. It's just so difficult, and maybe it speaks less about Barrack, more about Inara, you know, where she's at right now.
So much safer, so much easier to pull it off, I think, and underrated. Shout outs to them, man. That's what, 2 wins in a row now.
2 wins in a row, baby. This is getting hot and heavy.
Pretty close region overall, and a nice little symmetry across the way. Brazil, that's where we are headed next. 2-1, 3 teams 2-1, tied for first place. Somebody has got to take the lead today.
And just a quick recap on Europe. I mean, great day for Blazing Stars to get back in control. Underrated again with a beautiful win. That's 2 in a row over Clown Fiesta and Blazing Stars. And to me, you know, Europe, it's a great thing. It doesn't feel like I'm watching the PGS, to be honest. I mean, it feels like I'm truly watching guys in an even higher league. They feel like Europe and North America have elevated themselves above PGS with the level of competition that's there. Really exciting. A lot of great stories and a lot of fun to be had. We've got Brazil coming up right after this, ladies and gentlemen. So don't go anywhere. We'll be taking a quick break, switching out some casters, and be back with more Paladins Global Series action after this.
You said put down your morning gun. Would you follow me to wander? Take my hand and walk beside me in a world of thunder. Fear is uncaused. This way, I find it hard to not give in. Slowly fading in my mind. When you left, I was so completely gone, but now I'm sure
Hey gang, welcome back to the Paladins Global Series. My name is Pretty Hair, that's Gore Miser, and we are here to bring you Brazil. Now, a little bit of a hiccup today in Brazil. One of our teams didn't show up. They were too shook to go up against Space Station Gaming. They didn't even bother to show up. They get disqualified, so Space Station are just going to be ahead and awarded the W today for their matchup. They're not going to need to play. We're going to head to the standings, schedule, all that good stuff, and we'll see if that's reflected there. But we do have, of course, that one matchup for you today. Sushi Rao Esports versus Guimas Academy, who we now know is actually the old, like, Black Dragons roster.
Yeah, and being able to come through, this one's going to be, I mean, obviously very interesting. It's 2 and 3, being able to fight to tie up Space Station Gaming, kind of stay up towards the top. And honestly, being able to find a win here is going to be even bigger. I can't remember who it was last week that took that game off of Space Station, but being able to have that big of a contest up at the top, it was Rao, I'm learning. So if Guimas can take this win, then you really have to start wondering who exactly can control Brazil.
Yeah, pretty much. You got this fight for the top here, Space Station Gaming. It's notable that they played without FRZ God last week, so I think that's a big part of their team comp. Their blaster player is a very famous guy, kind of throughout the international scene. Even right, a lot of these NA and EU PPL teams have a lot of respect for him. We'll go ahead and head to the map screen for this set. Get this one underway here. Guimas Academy are going to ban out Jaguar Falls. Rao Esports are going to ban Timbermill, and we will head to Ascension Peak.
And that's pretty much 2 sets in a row that we're going to get something that's a very interesting start. Splitstone Quarry last time, now we're going to Ascension Peak to kick things off. I think this is going to be interesting for whichever team does feel confident enough to be able to just take that leap, right? It's a map that I think is a lot more kind of like your Splitstones, where you will have control if you know what you're doing. You can find a 4-0, but it is notoriously difficult to find a push on it, and because of that, it's a little shaky on actually being able to find a 4-0. Typically, you're looking kind of like Ice Mines with a 3-3, and you're looking at that last point.
Well, frontlines. That is the name of the game here today. 3 of them banned out. First picked as well. Fernando the Khan, they're all about it. Rao, though, a team that have always been pretty damn competitive, pretty damn close to the top. Always given even Space Station in their full form a run for their money. And they're going to go for the Andro, the Leon, the Fury. They want to go for those carries first, and they're going to pick up 3 of them.
I'm actually surprised to see them go for the Strix as early on as they did on Guimas, just because when they do pick that up, it opens up the opportunity if you wanted to go for a Kinessa, although that's not going to be the case for Rao. I actually think Rao approached this a little bit better. I feel like Strix and Kinessa, both on this map, have their spots, have their moments that can be fantastic, but I feel like they're very limited. It's very similar to what we see on some of the other maps. Unless it's going to be a lot of long open sites, you're going to find a lot of awkward engagements coming from the sniper.
Well, the Genos will come through for Guimas Academy, and it feels, though they do have 2 front lines, they are very, very kind of aggressive, brawly front lines in Fernando and Khan. They get the Genos as well, supplementing everyone's damage, and I don't know. It feels like it could work on paper, you know what I mean? It's not an outright bad composition, I don't think.
I think a lot is going to come down to how Half Dead can play the Strix, how King Kaiser can play the Buck, because those are 2 things, like we've mentioned, are not very common. I want to say anymore. They're not really wide set. I'd say Strix, I think, is more common here than Buck has been lately.
Absolutely.
But when you're looking at an Androxus, a Furia, a Leon, a Drogas, the biggest downside of that draft is going to be the Barrack, which,
and a Furia.
Again, if you look at the right kind of draft, maybe the right kind of player, that Barrack can work. It can also fall down, so it depends on where that's going to stand, but it's going to be a lot of damage.
I think the Barrack, I like it here, actually, and because it's just as small of a commitment to a front line as you can make on Ascension Peak, right? The solo Barrack is as far from a point front line as possible. You get the Solar Blessing in there as well, and with the Ascension Peak, just the way the point is designed, I think he can just be fine there. And right now, they're fighting so hard for this high ground. We'll have to see what they do with it when they finally get it, because it's about to happen.
I mean, finally pushing out this Khan, although he's still going to be getting aggressive. They're over here with 3 people. That's going to be a big pluck. And that actually does get rid of Drogo's Half Dead, credit for that one, and that's going to start opening it up. But Buck falls immediately after. So you're taking a trade, and honestly, I think Buck is more worthwhile there.
Why are they just, I mean, running their heads into this Khan for the entirety of the fight here? I feel like Nada, go help dive Strix, go help take out Genos. What is so important about this high ground and this Khan specifically up there? Why, risk or lose everything just to fight for that?
And with the way that their draft is, you can't let him live as long as he did, right? Every single time Khan would step back, he'd battle shout, maybe get a little bit of healing from Genos, and then he'd come back into it. But you have essentially 5 DPS on your team. You need to press him out. You need to kill him off as much as you can. But as of right now, they've given over a lot of control to Guimas. It's going to be 99%, almost 100. They can just clean up a couple kills.
I mean, Kronz at the moment, he has been incredible. Look at that. Charging up the Dragon Punch from inside the Solar Blessing. You love to see it. Misses the thrust, though, and that could be trouble. Lands the Fire Spit. This is huge. Kronz has played this last minute or so of this fight incredibly well. He's putting out so much damage. He gets the Dragon Punch off successfully. And if they end up capturing this, I think he's the biggest reason why.
And, I mean, bringing it up 99 to 99 towards the tail end, but because of the kills that they picked up, I think there were 3 right there at the very end of that. So being able to just sweep it away. Yeah. At this point, no one's going to be able to come in and take that control. Khan, well as Fernando, are in this awkward position, and that's the kind of play you need against them, right? They get aggressive on you. They have that shield up, but it doesn't matter. You have so much damage across 5 champions on Rao that you just need to kill them.
So let's talk about that initial approach. I mean, fighting up on that high ground against that Khan, what do you think they want from that? What does that give them? Why is that the all-in play? And we see a lot of teams, to be fair, do that. But what is it about that high ground that's so important now?
I'm kind of curious as to whether or not it's Rao wanting it as much as it might be them trying to take it away. If you get Strix up there as Guimas, it gives him a very good view of the point as well as the back line for Rao, so he can get a lot of good snipes off. But I feel like he's also not pressing into that. That's not where he wants to go initially. It's just in that small area that if they can grab it, he'll move in, and it will be the end of Rao.
I think that's a really good way to look at it. 1 minute and 30 now on the clock. Ultimate's starting to come up for Guimas Academy here. Rao Esports knocking at the door. Hello? How do you miss that shot? Come on, Gervin. You had that, bro. The Immortal is going to be forced out, and right as it ends, Gervin will strike back. Extremely low HP in the corner, but I think everyone's forgotten about him, and he's not afraid to sort of get under the deck of Guimas Academy here. It's Rao Esports. One of the mathematically fastest pushes, I think, and I love this. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that more. That's really kind of opened my eyes to a new... That's like the first time I saw the Genos Talus ult combo. I'm like, wow. I mean, how easy is it to... You can Dragon Punch from literally anywhere. You just get under a Solar Blessing and nobody can burn you down fast enough.
And just being able to soak that healing. It's actually something that I feel we saw a couple of times come down from Kronz. There were opportunities where he's getting locked down. He's one hit, he gets a kill, and then that Solar Blessing just comes in, heals him up. Follow the Scent, helping him take on things like the Buck, just being able to get that anti-heal, make it a lot harder. I mean, without the damage reduction that Buck used to have, it's so much more difficult to have that healing be anywhere near as impactful, because before it was, here's a heal, plus you're going to take like 50% damage reduction. Now, taking 20%, 30%, yeah, you're not going to be hurting as much, but your health bar doesn't jump anywhere near as high.
Well, here we go again, the fight for the high ground there, and just hovering a little bit too high. Hyphed takes out Kronz. Right as he pokes his head out, right as he was about to put in the Fire Spit, that may have actually killed Khan. There's the flashbang onto 2. They were both looking at it as well, so they're going to have their brains flashed in for the next couple of seconds. The flare, just to keep Andro spotted out. This is really nicely played by Strix.
I'm actually really surprised to have seen him jump down from the high ground, but just the angles that he's been approaching since then.
Yeah, they finally got it.
He's hitting these shots very consistently, and it's just kept him locked down, but he hadn't got a kill yet, and I think that's the big downside. There's an accursed arm to be coming through, and that's all targeting half dead. What a good angle.
That was sick. Did you see that? He just pops it behind the banner, and then there's no collision there or anything, so then he just floats through the banner. In and out of line of sight there. I really like that.
Now you don't.
All these cool little tricks we're seeing here, and that's Ascension Peak getting figured out. You know what I mean? We talked about that a little bit last week, where little angles are being played, some disengaged kills, more knowledge of the map. You can see players just getting better at one of the newer maps in the game.
And that's why we start seeing, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, Ascension Peak, but also like Splitstone Quarry at the beginning of sets. There's some teams that recognize how important it is. I mean, for a long time, you see those new maps banned away. No one wants to learn them. No one wants to play on them. They don't want to risk it. Then you get the teams, G2, learn Splitstone, and they just start taking people there all the time. That is their map pick until other teams start figuring it out. That's what Rao's probably going to end up doing as long as they can keep going, because the control you can get just from knowing the map a little better than your opponent.
I mean, nailing the headshots here. King Kaiser looking very, very strong. comes the In-Flame. See if that's enough to kickstart this push. We got 2 counter rotations happening, and they don't get anyone flanked. You know what I mean? I think that's really nicely played by Leon. She saw that coming, started to just counter rotate it, probably called it out as well. And that flank is very unsuccessful as a result. I mean, they just come out of the gate, they come out of the tunnel, and there's no one there for them to shoot.
I love Gervin's style on this Androx as well. It's very much get in, get a little bit of damage. If he thinks he can solidify a kill, if he thinks he can confirm it, then he'll get it. Otherwise, just dash right on back out.
Really, really nicely played there by Rao Esports, looking infallible on their map choice of Ascension Peak. We've got one more potentially to play if they can wrap it up. I mean, that's a pretty quick 4-0. Those were 2 pushes that really didn't slow down much at all.
And honestly, with the way the game started, it kind of felt like Guimas had some control. And it was all in that, how do you approach this high ground fight? It's because Khan never dies. He's just constantly getting pushed back, but then he just heals, walks right back up the stairs. He keeps 2-3 people looking at him the entire time. The rest of the team just looks at the point.
Yeah. So we'll head to the next map, see where we are going to play and where it potentially could come to an end. Stone Keep. Remember, Timber Mill and Jaguar Falls were banned out by each respective team as we head into picks and bans. Stone Keep we've already seen once today. We've seen the biggest factor on it honestly be, you know, a couple of different things here, but a lot of those things being banned out now as Inara takes a seat, Andro takes a seat, as well as Furia.
Switching it up from all front lines and actually grabbing 2 front lines in the bans that we've never seen. Ying being picked up before Khan, before Makoa. And so if I was Guimas, I mean, at that point I would have picked Khan Makoa, but I guess we're not going to get to see that.
Well, I think you're seeing, you know, Xin was banned out in game number 1, so they want to have that. Clearly it's very important to somebody on Guimas Academy. And then I think with Furia banned out, that's a call from my support that's saying, I don't want to play Maldamba in this situation. I don't know if it's because they already have what they want to play figured out, or if it's just a comfort thing, much rather wanting to play Ying rather than a Maldamba here. Interesting choices, though. Interesting draft here in Brazil. Not very frontline centric, despite only a couple being banned out this time. Khan is still up and available as we head into the 7th pick.
I like the Ruckus. I don't know how much I like Torvald. I guess it does kind of depend on what Guimas grab, but it just feels like he's in a very locked-in position. Torvald, I feel like, has to go with someone like an Inara. He has to go with someone like a Fernando, maybe even like a Makoa, where it's just, you can control the point, you can fight, you can handle yourself. I'm support part 2. Like, I'm support that doesn't die. The bubble is pretty much all I apply.
Yeah. And Makoa goes 9th, Genos goes 10th. Little backwards here today, I think.
No con at all.
Rao and Guimas, no con whatsoever here on Stone Keep. Rao feels like, despite their sort of odd order in the draft, they still focus on the same things. They still focus on getting those carries online and getting them early and plentiful. They get 3 DPS again. They will have Makoa as well to kind of brawl out in the back line. And as long as they continue to get everything they want, I don't see anything that's going to look like it wants to stop them.
And I love this call. Having Death and Taxes, they have Follow the Scent, they have Antediluvian, so they have a ton of anti-heal already on this team for Rao. And so they're like, forget Cauterize. We don't need Cauterize. They have Genos. He's not going to be healing a lot. Let's go for the record. Those bubbles are going to be a little bit more of a nuisance. We're also going to have to deal with the emitter shield coming down from Ruckus. If we can get rid of both of those, then we're set. So every DPS is going to be able to eliminate most of Guimas Academy relatively fast.
And you just see Genos trying to go for the dismounts there. Makoa jumps over it, gets the spot, and the battle for the keep begins. Talus looking like he wants to flank out this Genos. First blood happens fairly quickly this time around. Torvald's in. That's got to be the win condition here for Guimas Academy. RC Soldier answers back on the Hive-Dead. We'll have to see if they're able to stabilize from that. At the moment, we're seeing why Xin was so highly prioritized and why it was even banned in game number 1.
Just a lot of control already coming through. Chowson being able to pick up Nada, though, is probably the bigger thing. Getting rid of the one front line in a triple DPS gives you so much room to work with, especially when you have 2. Even though one of them's Ruckus, you still have 2 front lines, technically. So you can kind of trade them in and out. But the next fight, I think, is going to be the bigger part. Can you get rid of the Jogos again?
Gotta blow this guy up. Tricksword gets into the billow, escapes with his life for now. But meanwhile, Gore, the kill feed's filling up all blue. Guimas Academy do get 50% on the objective, but it's Rao Esports that are currently in control.
It's being able to find the fight after the fight. The first blood, actually the first couple of kills, go over to Guimas. And it looks pretty clean, but how well can you zone? How well can you actually get rid of it? Kron's died very early on the first time around on the Drogos. Can you kill him again? If you get rid of him the second time, then it's definitely going to be able to be your play.
Wow.
But because he's still alive and having this impact, you can see Chowson not really able to get aggressive.
Ooh. So low there. I'm surprised that Gervin doesn't actually just push that. I mean, he's got a good opportunity. RC Soldier in and out as well. Flirting with death here. So much burst damage. This Cassie has done an incredible job staying alive in this 1v2, but it's the rest of the gang that can't find pressure as a result. And though Hypedad does end up coming away with 2 kills there, Rao Esports will still be the ones to capture the first objective.
And it feels pretty similar to what they were trying to do last game, where it's just get the focus all onto one side that's away from the point. And then as long as you can keep people concentrated over there, you have Torvald looking at Cassie, who's looking at this Talus. It just makes it so much easier. That's 2 sets of eyes that are not going to be there. You get a kill, and you're going to be set. You're in essentially a 4v2 at that point. So Guimas getting distracted, I think, a little bit too easily.
Torvald up top, and he looks like he is about to be the recipient of a Dragon Punch.
Found him.
Almost lost him there. Just caught a little glimpse of the edge of that shield before bringing it in. Salvo to the high ground. Not a very effective use of it, but it is what it is at the end of the day. 5 streak for Krons. Been a really, really big part of the success here of Rao Esports. I mean, game 1 was all him, I think. I think he did really most of the work there. Top damage here in game 2 as well. Finding so much pressure on all these clump targets on the high ground. Beautiful fire spit. I mean, that's a game of inches there. When you're looking at, I need to get this through a door frame from the low ground, and that's not easy to do.
And then being able to follow it up, a lot of damage, a lot of spread, although because of that, Rao end up actually falling back. They do get a little bit of a spread, but Guimas, because of how defensible this area is in Stonekeep, they're able to turn it around even though they have what was a 4-man fire spit. Still being able to get picked up. Now Trixord is coming around. Nada actually taking a very lonely approach. He's set by himself. Spite not going to connect though, so he just backs away. That's a big win for Rao.
Mobility at the end of the day doesn't really accomplish too much. Trixord on his last legs here. Any sort of damage at this point would take him down. Hyper Beam is ready to go. This is really where Torvald is now. Is the only spot it can really be effective on Stonekeep. And the 180 fake out, we call it, with the Ancient Rage. So much damage. Gore, why are they letting him do this?
And he gets the pluck as well, pulls him right out of the base. You can see where Zin's mind Trixord just goes right back into the base to heal up, thinking Torvald's going to be close enough, but that hook comes out at the last second, and now the control's coming through. That's 3 clean kills. Cassie's having trouble walking out of the base.
Well, it took a long time. They only have 1 frontliner, and they sacrificed him to get to where they are now. I don't know if Makoa's going to be able to make it back fast enough, Gervin. You got to commit to something here. I mean, you're owning this Cassie all day long. There it is, finally taking her down. Enlightenment as well. He's got what he needs to succeed in this fight, but misses everything. Gervin wanted it so bad. The Torvald silence just threw him off rhythm, I feel, there, with the Ying ultimate just to ensure that it eventually will find its way home. The payload is converted in a 2-0 lead for Rao Esports.
Gervin does something there without doing anything. And it's one of those things. He gets the kill on Cassie, but he pulls Torvald away again, and Ruckus is on the other side, so no front lines are jumping down to defend this. You don't have that many big bodies standing on that payload to stop Rao, and because of that, you can just see Gervin firing into the Torvald, then firing into the Cassie, firing into the Ruckus when he drops down, and it's just using that target acquisition, using his presence as a distraction to be able to get not only a ton of damage, but pull everyone away from the payload. No one jumped down to defend.
Fatal Sign 2 being run here by Halfdead, and haven't really ever seen that card. 24% reload speed. It's a lot of reload speed, to be fair, after getting elimination, and it's a long window as well, 5 seconds. But Cassie, not a character that relies super heavily on her reload, I think, and she already has a decent amount of ammo for how much damage each shot does. 7 is a lot, but to each their own. That's what makes Paladins so special. Rolling away. Oh my goodness, how are you going to do your support like that? He just rolled away, gave up Genos' life instead of hers. Half dead. Scumbag Cassie here.
Stayed alive, though. I guess that's what he's thinking as of right now, although you have to stay alive for the entirety of it. RC Soldier going to go into the boxing match once again. The roll comes through. This pillar's playing a big role, but Nada comes in, cleans it up. making sure that RC Soldier can not only stay alive, but they can continue getting aggressive. 40% grabbed up, but this time they've won the first fight.
What level of guts is he running? Because I noticed RC Soldier only taking a little bit of damage there. Or has he just gone into Haven at that point? Cassie was only hitting him for like 400 damage or so towards the end there. And he does pick up the Haven 1. And that was enough to really save his life there. Here comes the Hyper Beam. It'll put RC Soldier in an awkward spot. But at the end of the day, Trick Sword just has to get out as well. He gets the touch, though, so that'll start the overtime. Still a 96-19 lead on the objective.
Now jumping up RC Soldier, especially once you pop that, you're going to be firing so incredibly fast that it's going to be tough to try and withstand that. There comes the Hex of Fire trying to just create some space,
Wow.
but it's 99%. Guima's going to be able to pick up a couple kills, but they're just getting pushed out systematically.
That's crazy that last like half second of Hex of Fire was enough to basically 100-0 Talus. It's still the objective going the way of Rao Esports. It's still Gervin here on a 9 streak, putting in good damage on Torvald, allowing Nada just to clean it up. But man, oh man, Rao Esports looking strong. I mean, this is a pretty different draft from them outside of the Drogos, right? But they're still looking just as dominant. So the fact that they just know exactly what they want and what they can succeed with is a really good sign for the success and strength of this team moving forward.
I like the angles Kranz is holding. I like the way, like you said, just the way the team looks in terms of the way things have been going. Although RC Soldier has been taking a couple engagements on this Talus that haven't been in favor. Well, that one, I guess, wasn't him taking it. It was more just brought to him, and he had to deal with it.
Sometimes you give, sometimes you take. And you got to take what you get and get what you got. And that's an original saying by me.
I want that on a shirt. That feels inspirational.
Honestly, I couldn't even repeat it just as I said it. I don't even remember what I said. I blacked out. What happened? Where are we? Who am I? Who are you?
You know.
You're right, Gormizer.
In your heart of hearts, you know.
You know who I am, brother. You know me. Brazil's PGS looks like it could be winding down here for the day as the payload is inches from conversion in game number 2. Joustin goes down, the Fire Spit doesn't connect, but the Dragon Punch is ready to rip. The salvo goes down onto the payload. Kranz is looking to wind it up, and the pitch comes through. Who's he going to find? Genos, the support. He gets taken down for it. There's no Ancient Rage here either for Nada to get hyper-aggressive, but the picks just don't stop coming, Gormizer.
RC Soldier just being able to hold the angle over there with Nada, using Nada kind of as a shield more than anything as they stand up, they get ready, and they're just trying to find the last couple of kills. There's going to be a Hyper Beam coming through, although I don't think it's going to be enough. Torvald dead at this point. Does get RC Soldier, but no real follow-up.
Has the Enlightenment as well, and he doesn't use it. What a classy lady. Sometimes, you know, guys like to flex on the amount of ultimates they had left over.
And they just pop them all.
Look at all of the things we didn't need to beat you, but Gervin, very classy lady, like I said.
Being able to hold on to it. And admittedly, the only one that I think we saw before that, he missed. So maybe
yeah,
he was like holding on to it like, I'm just going to keep
yourself,
it.
bro. Redeem yourself. Come on, man. That's going to be the win, though, for Sushi Rao Esports. Congratulations to them. We're going to head to the standings here. SSG, Rao Esports still tied for the lead. So we await anxiously for their next meeting. Hopefully, eventually here in the Brazilian PGS. Wednesday will be the next setup here for the PGS. It will be OCE as well as North America.
I'm actually excited to see Despacito 2 versus Trident tomorrow because I feel like that's going to be one of those sets that could potentially be upsetting for Despacito 2, who so far has been looking like number 2 just under Kanga. But Trident is on the climb right now, and I feel like they could look really good against that team.
Well, guys, one more time we want to remind you, HRX is coming up. That's what all these teams are playing for in the PGS, the PCL, the PPL, the SPL, the Console League as well. It's November 16th through the 18th. Those are the dates of DreamHack Atlanta. Tickets are on sale now at highresexpo.com. Make sure you grab your after-party tickets as well. It's only $50, and it's sure to be a great, very memorable end to your weekend. We hope you guys come out and see us. Our HRX has always been the first week of January. This is a big move. We're moving it to the end pretty much of November this time around. So get that through your head. Grab your tickets now. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be there having a blast, guys. That's going to do it, though, for the Global Series portion of today's broadcasting. The PPL will be on at 3 p.m. I think it's around like 12 o'clock at the moment right now. So about like 2.5, 3 hours from now, you will see us back here. Same time, same place. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you then.